Hi, and welcome to the channel. Today, I'm going to do the February card pull, and shocker of shocks. Not only is our card of the month chaos, but oh my gosh, this messy bun is definitely a messy bun manifesting kind of day. When I pulled this card for us for this month, I was like, are you kidding, Spirit? Like, really? Oh my God, seriously? As if we didn't know. And it just was like really more chaos. So I was kind of lamenting this, and then all of a sudden, Spirit nudged me. But it's really interesting because I went to a book club for fellow woo woos, and there was a lady there that said she was a chaos, which I don't know if I could do that. But then I guess being a Virgo, we don't really, it's not in our Virgo DNA to do chaos, but I never really thought about it until this morning. And I want to share with you a few things. So, when Spirit nudged me to look further into it, maybe change my perspective on chaos and look at it a different way, I really kind of found some things and I wanted to share them with you because I feel like we are living in such a chaotic world right now, especially if you're in the US and other intense places on the planet. But I think to give everyone perspective, A, I want you to know you are not alone. And B, I want to give you some ways to continue to manifest what you want because I think a lot of the chaos right now is creating, whether conscious or unconscious, situations within our energy that makes us create more of what we don't want, which obviously doesn't feel good. So, what are some ways that we can continue to manifest while embracing the chaos? So, I want to dive into why everything feels so chaotic right now, how to shift our perspective on chaos, and practical steps to embrace high vibe chaos for a transformation to help give us better choices in our energy because again, we can only control ourselves and we can only control how we choose to interact with the current energy of the collective. Because remember, manifesting, we don't do that in a vacuum. We can only control what we do. But the more we choose to control what we do and how we think and how we feel, that feeds the collective. And even though collective is the overarching energy we're working in right now, there is a way to tip the scales in favor of love vibrational chaos versus fear-based vibrational chaos that's going on right now. So let's dive in. Why does the world feel so chaotic right now? I probably don't really have to tell you because I think you can probably feel it if you're someone that glances at the news or you're someone that is always watching the news, which I highly recommend you stop if that is you. I probably have not watched the news in, I think I watched 10 minutes of it, if that, for the weather one time in the last few weeks. And by the end of the 10 minutes, I was like, I don't need to see any more of this business. Right now, the world really feels like it's falling apart. Old systems are breaking down. Uncertainty is really everywhere because of what's going on, especially if you're in the US and other really disruptive parts of the world. And I want to really be clear, my heart goes out to everybody right now because it is a really challenging time to navigate, especially if you're a highly sensitive person, an empath, or any of those things. We really need to learn to manage our energy and be accountable for our energy. So if you're one of those people that's like, oh, I'm an empath or I'm a HSP, those are things, and I'm not saying this in a judgmental way or anything. If you're going to give yourself that label because you feel that's who you are, that's awesome, but do not use it as an excuse for you to sit in the crap. Use it as a tool to say, oh, this is actually who I am. And I'm going to take steps to protect my energy, to manage my energy, because we all know we don't love when other people show up with unmanaged energy. So why would we not want to manage our own energy, especially if we're empathic and or HSPs? So really be conscious of that. So if the world is really getting to you, which I think I'm hearing from so many people, I have had so many Zoom calls and emails and text messages, and I've seen posts of all of my friends, of clients, where they're just like, I am so wrapped up in this chaos everywhere I look. It's just so prevalent, and I feel like I can't get away from it. So what do I do here? As spiritual beings having a human experience, we crave control. That's the humanness in us. The spiritual being doesn't give a shit. I mean, let's be honest. But as human beings, we crave control because we think if we have control, we will be more safe, which I guess might be the human way to do things. But really, what can we control? So the more unsafe we feel, the greater our urge to grip into control. Right now, the collective is riding a wave of fear, which creates this lack of safety feeling across the board. And that illusion of if we have more control over external things, we'll feel safer is stronger and stronger and stronger, which actually, in reality of the energetic world, the stronger you hold on to the idea of trying to have control over external forces, the less powerful you are. So it contributes to the less safe you feel. And then it just grows and grows and grows. And those who benefit from people being disempowered from their own spiritual energy, they can then utilize your manifesting power for what they want. And so, thusly, if they're creating more fear, they create more control for them. It does not create more control for you, and it certainly doesn't make you feel safer. So, the thing is, what we focus on is what we manifest. So, letting someone else via whatever avenue, the news media, social media, having conversations and participating in them full-fledged, that triggers your amygdala and your humanness, which is a little part of your brain that's like your little fear center that once it's triggered, you're in fight, flight, fawn, the things. And then your ability to focus on what you really want and stay in a love vibration goes way down. And the more you do that, the more you think you're striving to have control, but in actuality, you are disempowering yourself. So if what we focus on is what we manifest, we have to focus more on what we are doing and what we can control, which in reality, in all honesty, is not anything outside of us. Yes, the outside world can be crazy and feel yucky, and you're watching people do things that, yes, may affect you and those that you love. But the fact is, can you control what's going on there? No. And is worrying helping the situation? No. And if Caroline Mace is right, and she's been in the business forever and ever and ever of doing energy work, the fact is, she said you have more power sitting in your chair focusing your energy than you do worrying or trying to control anything external. So if our focus is the most powerful thing that we have, we want to make sure nobody but us is using it. So how do we do this? How do we remember and really cling on to the concept of what we focus on, we manifest? How do we take back our power? Here's some journal prompts for you. Where in my life am I holding on too tightly because I feel unsafe? And this could be on a personal level, like maybe with your finances, maybe trying to control people in your life and wanting them to do what you want them to do instead of just letting them be them and you deciding what you want based on what you want. That whole idea of just let them, that Mel Robbins idea of just let them, and then let me be accountable for me. So where in my life am I holding on to those, like trying to get other people to do stuff? Where am I holding on too tightly because I feel unsafe? And be really honest with yourself because that's important. And how can I shift from gripping control to trusting the process? Like trusting that the chaos that's going on right now has a purpose. And that purpose may not be the intention of those creating it. It actually could be your intention if you could get focused on what that is. And here's the funny thing. You don't really have to have a clear picture of that. You can just say, I really don't like what's going on right now. And I'm not quite sure where I'm going, but I'm going to instead focus on the intention of opportunity this chaos is creating. I'm going to view it from a higher vibration than it is being put out there as, if that makes sense. The more of that love energy we pour into the collective, and we can tip the scale by doing it. Which brings me to how can we shift our perspective on chaos? Because I know for me, whenever I would hear chaos, like someone identifying as a chaos witch or chaos in general, doesn't really feel good. And I know it's not just because I'm a Virgo and we earth signs love just chilling like a villain out in the yard. We're just not into the chaos stuff like some of the other signs. But how can we all, regardless of what our go-to is, how can we all shift our perspective so we can thrive in a chaotic environment or maybe embrace it and take control over it within ourselves? The first thing I want to point out in this shift of perspective is chaos isn't always necessarily destruction. It may show up as destruction, but it really is more about transformation and action. So think about a storm. Okay. Storms can be really intense, but they do clear out stagnation. So when it's really hot and stagnant and humid and gross, whenever you have a storm, a thunderstorm blows through and it can change the energy of what's going on. Water is so clearing, energy is so clearing. It refreshes the earth and creates natural fertilizers. Your garden really thrives after a rainstorm. Why? Because it knows how to use the chaos. So what if we, since we are part of the earth ecosystem and we are really just complicated houseplants, what if we embraced our own personal chaos in the same way? So here's some things to think about that maybe you want to journal on. And if you want to share in the comments below, use that space so that we can hold space for each other as we go through this. What is one area of my life that feels chaotic, but might actually be clearing space for something better? I mean, that's a great way to look at this, to look at chaos as an opportunity. So you want to write that down. What is one area of my life that feels chaotic, but might actually be clearing space for something better? And here's another journal. If I trusted this chaos was happening for me, what opportunity might I see? I think that's a really good one too, because it transforms the idea of why is this happening to me to why is this happening for me, or where can I see the opportunities? If I trusted that this chaos was happening for me, what opportunities might I see? Because a lot of times, if you're sitting around going, why is this happening to me? All the opportunities might be there, but you won't even see them. So, what you can also do is utilize these journal prompts that I'm sharing in each of these sections to get out your favorite card deck and just pull cards and ask them, what is this? And then instead of saying, oh, I'm just going to let the cards guide me, listen to what it says, maybe read the guidebook, and then journal how you feel about what is shared with you from spirit, because that kind of inner work is what needs to happen right now so that you can take back your energy and move from a fear-based chaos into a loved-based chaos. So speaking of love versus fear-based chaos, what are some steps that you can take to embrace a much higher vibrational version of chaos right now? So one way to do this is to journal. As I've been sharing through this whole video, every time I share an idea, I give you a journal prompt for you to work on in your own time or to share below when you have a minute if you want a space to share it out loud to the world. That is so welcome if you want to put your answers in the comments or just keep them for yourself. But know that I'm holding space for you throughout this whole thing as we do this. So to shift your perspective, I'm going to start with a journal prompt instead of start with, an idea, and then we'll move from there. So ask yourself, if I stepped away from fear, what breakthrough might be on the other side of that? That's a really big one. If you need to pull a card to get more clarity and then journal on the card, totally okay. And the reason this question is so important is because a lot of times we just sit stuck in the fear. We don't think about, what if I stepped away from it? What if it doesn't have a grip on me? What if I'm holding on to it and I let it go? And when we do that, sometimes we have to allow a breakdown to get a breakthrough. So the breakdown happens for us, not to us. And that's a really important change in perspective. And the reason it's important is because it allows you to shift from a low vibrational, fear-based, chaotic path to a high vibrational, love-based, chaotic path. For instance, it allows you to focus on what is possible, what opportunities might come your way when you're not so stuck in the lower vibration, focusing on what you could have instead of what's missing. Once you can shift this, even though you are witnessing a lot of tumult, and I want to make sure you know that I honor this. I honor that we all are witnessing this. I am not living in a bubble that says, pretend it's not happening. I'm giving you tips on how to navigate in a way that is a higher vibration so that you can shift first internally and then pour into the collective so that the entire thing tips the scales into a more loving path of chaos. And again, chaos is progressive, not destructive, if we can change that perspective there. So focusing on what's possible and the opportunities we have versus what is missing. Get curious about what opportunities might be unfolding for you, and they may not look like what you're used to. That's part of the chaos. Chaos can be as small as waking up in the morning and not doing what you always do. I usually wake up and I go to my chair and I do my meditation. I do the same kind of thing every morning. But what if I added or took away or changed something? I'm not going to give up my morning meditation ritual time because it really works for me. But what if I changed what I'm doing? And I'm kind of doing that. Last year, I made sure I worked with the 4 agreements for 365 days, and it shifted my perspective on a lot of things. This year, I'm keeping that, and I'm adding in my daily card pulls, my daily gratitude, credit, and spirit work. And I'm actually including that in my manifesting toolkit that you can get through a link below in the description. It's one of the things in the toolkit. So when you create chaos in a good way, in a loving way, in a way that expands and creates opportunity for you to expand, that's still chaotic because you're creating disruption. That's all chaos is creating disruption. It's how we choose to infuse that disruption. With what energy? Is it love or fear? Is our intent to control other people, or is our intent to control ourselves and get better at managing our own energy and thusly manifesting what we want? Or are we buying into the chaos of others, which then is not for us, but it's working towards other people's intention and us giving up our power? So doing things from a perspective of high vibrational chaos re-embraces, takes back our power, gives us a different perspective so that we can focus on what opportunities are unfolding here for me versus why is this happening. So choosing that high vibrational path about chaos is so imperative right now. And how do you create your own disruption? Creating your own disruption. This is important because we've talked all about, there's people out there that are in positions of power that are creating chaos and disruption in a way that is to usurp our manifesting power. And when we buy into that, when we sit in the fear, when we worry about stuff, when we continue to talk about and say the names of the people that are doing the things, and whether it's the people, the platforms, what have you, when we continue to focus on that, your energy flows where focus goes and they know it, and you no longer are manifesting what you want, and you actually are manifesting what you don't want, which is more of that. So how do you create your own disruption? How do you take back your power? Well, again, first of all, I want to say the 7 keys are a big deal. If you have not checked those out, I put a link in the description. You can download your free toolkit for the 7 keys and a bunch of other stuff that helps you manifest and refocus your energy. And that in itself will give you a practice to work with. Secondly, how do you choose your own disruption right now? Creating your own love-based chaos that will break that pattern and take back your power. Again, chaos doesn't always have to be destructive in such a negative way, and it also doesn't have to happen to you. You can use it to break old cycles. In fact, If you are watching this, I am thinking that you are someone who considers themselves a woo-woo or a metaphysician or a manifester or any of this stuff. And those things are not societal norms. Normies don't think that way. So you already have created chaos in a loving way for yourself to create the transformation needed to step into this path. And I guarantee that if you are watching this, you probably feel a whole hell of a lot better walking this path than walking the normie path. So you have already bought into the idea of positive, loving chaos without even knowing it. So take it to the next level. So if you want to use it to break those old cycles, which you already have done, so this is not new. When you think about it in terms of the physical, if you've ever done a massive declutter, when we were starting to think about moving in 2020, we decluttered between 2020 and 2024. When we actually moved, we probably decluttered 4 or 5 times, and we still have a garage full of crap that we need to go through and declutter. It's on the list. Whether you've done decluttering like that, maybe you rearranged a room. I have friends that love to rearrange their rooms just to give them spruce up and to change the energy and to move it around because it's feeling stagnant. Maybe you made a bold life change like all those years ago, 25 years ago. I just up and moved to Nashville from New York and everyone thought I was nuts. But I just knew I had to do something to change the direction of where I was going. And I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew I couldn't stay there. And the one way to open up the door of possibilities, opportunity, expansion was to create a little bit of chaos and disruption and just pack up my car and leave. And that's what I did. And it created a whole new life for me. So when we talk about chaos, it doesn't necessarily come with a negative attached to it. If we can take all of those labels off it and just look at it from the point of it creates disruption for transformation to open doors to opportunity and possibility that maybe you couldn't see because you were sitting in a comfort zone that was actually not that comfortable, that's where you start evolving your perspective on chaos. So if you've ever done any of the things that I'm talking about, that's high vibrational chaos. That's where you want to sit. Look around your life. And it doesn't have to be huge. It could actually be small. So maybe journal on what's one small intentional way you can create positive chaos in your life right now. What's one small intentional way I can create positive chaos in my life right now? Journal on that one. Or pull a card. And if you want, you can share below in the comments. And then what old belief, habit, or situation is ready to be cleared away so that you can level up? What old belief, habit, or situation is ready to be cleared away so that you can level up? And just remember, this isn't hard because you've already done it. You've already been practicing this kind of chaos manifesting. If you're here already, you've already opted out of traditional belief systems. Take it to the next step. Continue that high vibrational chaos in your daily activities, but make it more intentional, more open, more loving. And as you do that within yourself, that energy naturally pours into the collective. And if we can transmute the current low vibrational chaos energy by doing what we love, by disrupting our own systems, that gives us our power back to make decisions that we love about ourselves, that pours more positive and love-based chaos energy into the collective. So yeah, things are going to break down. That's just how things are. We have been talking about this in the woo-woo community for probably 2 decades now. The things are going to break down and something better is going to rise. But how we navigate that breakdown is really up to us. If we continue to buy into this fear, buy into this Hunger Games view of what things might become, guess what? That's what you're going to get because we're looking and focusing on that idea. If you change, Stop watching the Hunger Games and start watching Star Trek. That is the positive view of the future. To get there, yes, we may have to do some high vibrational chaotic changes. But which outcome do you want? That's where you need to focus your energy. Do you want Hunger Games or do you want Star Trek, where everybody lives together in love, everybody is taken care of? The focus is on expansion of the human spirit, and also at the same time holding space for other forms to join us in this beautiful life that we are experiencing, and the expansion of what we can have with that and the opportunity. But we can't get there if we're so focused on what they want us to focus on, because the more we focus on fear-based chaos, the less empowered we feel, the less in control we feel, and the more energy is given up to manifest what somebody else wants that you don't. So focus over here. Focus on happy. Focus on this chaos that is high vibrational, that creates opportunity for you, that brings love into your life, and love yourself in a disruptive way. One of the most radical acts you can do is to take care of yourself, is to love yourself. Do that. Okay? So if this resonated, I've got something for you. I've mentioned it a couple of times during the video. It is a free toolkit on manifesting. It tells you about the 7 keys to create a manifesting practice. It gives you a daily planner with a day planner, my morning ritual with my 3 check-ins to create a manifesting environment inside yourself. The ones that I have used over the last year, every single day, to change how I navigate life. It also has a water intake tracker so that you drink your water every day, because we are energetic beings and energy needs hydration to move around. It's got a bunch of stuff. It has a vision board in there. I have a grounding meditation in there for you. So if you are feeling like you want some support in manifesting, maybe you want a different practical viewpoint of manifesting, or you're trying to figure out what's my block and you want to clear it, go ahead and start that journey by downloading my free toolkit that I'm linking below and grab it. It's totally free, and start shifting your energy today. Just remember, the only way to get on the other side of this whole thing is through. And the only way through that will feel good is shifting to positive, high vibrational chaos in our lives. So when everything feels like it's unraveling, remember, you are the light. This is important for you to show up and shine your light. We've been talking about it for a long time, like the last 2 years or so, to really figure out, who am I and what light do I have to shine out in the world? Now is the call to take that light, shine it out in a way to be of service to the collective. Everyone is different. You know, our soul purposes are all the same, but our life purpose is how we manifest that. And what your call is to do that life purpose. Do it right now, because people need it. In whatever way feels good for you to show up. People need it, especially right now, because the more people that show up as examples and live by example for those who need a little more encouragement, and they see you, they will shine their light, and so on and so on and so on. And then that collective love energy outweighs the bad. The more we anchor into love, the more we shift that collective energy. Chaos doesn't have to pull us under. We can rise above it and radiate something higher. So let's stand together, firm in our light, choose love over fear, and be the change we want to see in the world. Because I think that's where we can take back our power. And the only way to shift the dark chaos flow is to stand in and shine light into the world and put in the positive, light-based chaos flow. So stay in a vibration of love as much as possible, because love is the energy that transforms everything. And that's it for today. I know that was a lot. Again, if you are resonating with this, please like and subscribe so this video can go out to other people that maybe are thinking and feeling the same as you. And remember to go ahead and download that manifesting toolkit if it resonates. And until next time, I'll see you in the vortex. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.